Hi, friend. This week's episode is phenomenal. My guest is Dr. Sue. She radiates warmth and compassion while she asks the questions, what's great about this shit pile and what would love do? Learn how to get rid of the stories that keep you stuck and keep you from letting go. You will just absolutely adore her, and she might change your life. By now, you know that I've reversed my heart disease by following a whole food plant based diet. If you're ready to add more plant based meals to your life, head over to my website, wellelephant.com, after this episode and grab my free cookbook. It's my gift to you. And while you're there, if you're really ready to reverse disease, check out my online class, Ace Plant Based Eating. I made this class with you in mind. Thank you for being here. You mean the world to me. Now, let's meet Dr. Sue. Hi, friend. I'm Lauren Bernick, and I'm flipping the script about growing older. From rebels and rule breakers to wellness warriors and wise women, my guests have been influencers since before that was even a thing, and we're not even close to finished. Welcome to Age Like a Badass Mother. Dr. Sue McCreadie is a holistic pediatrician and midlife transformation expert who helps women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s navigate hormones, heartbreak, and healing so they can stop settling and start living with joy. Her mission: to make transformation simple, soulful, and even fun, because when women rise, we raise the vibration of our world for our children. Oh, I love that. Welcome, Dr. Sue.
Thank you so much for having me, Lauren. This is going to be
Oh
so
my God.
fun. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I'm really excited to talk to you because I don't
Hmm.
even know where to start, but you're a pediatrician, right? As
Yes,
practicing pediatrician.
yes, I
Um
am.
and how did you get from being a pediatrician to helping women in midlife?
I know it's wild. My first love is human behavior, I must say. So I've always been interested in psychology, and that was my major. I actually thought I wanted to be a psychiatrist when I went to
Oh,
med
wow.
school, but I saw what that was to be a practicing psychiatrist, and I thought that's not a great fit for me. And I've always loved kids. So when I went on my pediatric rotation, I was like, oh, this is for me. Like, kids just make me a better person
Yes.
overall. I just become nicer. I'm already nice, but you know what I mean? They just like bring out the best in me. And so, yeah, I launched into pediatrics, and I started as an entrepreneur. So I started my own practice because I was interested in holistic natural healing, and this was 23 years ago, and no one wanted to hire me for that.
I
So
bet.
I sent out all these letters, and one kind physician replied back. He goes, I won't hire you, but you can start my practice out of my office. So I did. And that started my journey in pediatrics. But along the way, all these amazing women in my practice, mamas, were like, how can you help me? What can you do for me? Right. And so I knew I didn't want to do functional medicine for adults. Like, that wasn't my passion or purpose, but I couldn't figure out what else it was. So I just started following the breadcrumbs and trying different things. Right. And that led through 4 other entrepreneurial adventures that finally landed a few years ago, coaching. And the funny thing is, Lauren, I hired a coach like a decade ago, and I said, all I know is I don't want to do what you do, which is coaching.
I believe that. And
and
then you
then
end up being a coach.
and then
Okay.
I ended up being a coach. And then I texted her immediately. I was like, "You're not even going to believe this. I'm a coach." And she goes, "That's so funny." I mean, she remembered it. It was funny. It's just like you just don't know until you try it on and see, right?
Mhm.
And once I started working with women in that way around emotional healing and relationships and transformation during these periods of 40s, 50s, and 60s, I was like, I am in my lane, Jane. Because by this time I had done so much personal development for myself you know, through healing, through multiple miscarriages, and through just being an entrepreneur is like soul sculpting. So
Yeah.
I had done so much personal development that it was just natural for me to share these frameworks with these women, and if they're mothers, help them pass them over to their kids like I do. So,
Yeah, you mentioned I saw that you had multiple miscarriages, but and I also
Hmm.
see that you have multiple children, so it all worked out in the
Yes.
end, right?
Yes.
You have three
I have
children,
three
three
daughters,
daughters.
two teens and slash two young adults. Like one's a
Yeah,
teen, but still, young adult. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so, did you figure like investigate what was happening with the miscarriages? Is that sort of what
Oh,
led you down that path, or
that's such a great question. It was, um, yeah, it was a process of discovery. Like we didn't understand why this was happening, and I didn't have like the technical language of what was happening. However, I had a dream. And my dream, have you ever had a really powerful dream and you wake up
yeah,
and you just like, oh my gosh, I
yes.
know exactly what to do. I don't know how to do it. So the dream was I was a patient. I was a patient. So I was like in one of those like patient gown robes. However, the nurses knew that I'm also a doctor. So they started taking me from bedside to bedside and showing me these very specific labs that have to do with clotting, right? So
Mm.
I woke up and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm clotting off these babies. I'm going to start taking a baby aspirin. That's literally what I did,
Are you
Lauren.
kidding?
No, I was like, I'm clotting off these babies. That's what's happening. I'm going to go
What do
take a
you mean
baby aspirin.
clotting off the
Like forming
babies
forming clots in your
in your uterus or
yeah, like
your
in your vascular system that's supplying blood flow, right? So
Oh,
I've
so they
since
couldn't get blood? Is that what
yeah,
you mean?
right. So like
Oh.
it compromised the pregnancy. And of course, like I didn't have any of the language or the technical understanding even as a doctor at that time, but since then I've learned that what I have is called methylation genetics. Maybe some of the listeners have heard that MTHFR. It goes by a very funny name. So yeah, I have this, and now I'm able to turn that around and support other patients who have that because the way that it can show up through symptoms is vast. It can show up through cardiovascular, like I was having. It can show up through any system like attention, so nervous system, gastro and GI system, immune system. So it has multiple. It's a methylation is a process that happens in every cell of the body, so it can affect every system of the body. So a lot of people have it, but maybe not severe, right? And so, yeah, it's turned out to be one of God's greatest gifts of me going through that process. I learned first how to bring a baby into this world. And baby aspirin wasn't the only thing I was doing. I was working with an acupuncturist and, you know, slapping hormones on my thighs to keep the baby like stay. I was doing lots of other things too, but that was one of the things that I learned, and then I passed along to my patients, and it's still to this day a process that I help my patients with.
Wow. And so that was before you had any babies. That was
Yes, yes. I had three miscarriages, and then I had my oldest, and then I had another miscarriage, second trimester between the first and second, and that
oof.
was quite like, wow, that was a doozy because I thought I was
Yeah.
past that, right?
Yeah.
And you just, I that was just such a traumatic one because we delivered her at home, and then we went to the hospital. Like I was
Oof.
carrying her to the hospital.
Oh
um
gosh.
it was it was really something. And you know what, Lauren, through that whole process, I feel like still emotional about the nurses. They were like little angels. They were just
They
like
are.
treating
Yeah.
her like she's a lot, like, can we
Mhm.
take her, we want to go get her fingerprints and her and I'm just like, oh my gosh,
Oh
it's just like
gosh.
one of those things that it's unfortunate that we have to go through these things. And also it's incredible the amount of compassion and love and understanding that other humans can bring to a human in loss. And I feel like that's what I've been able to transfer over, not only in my pediatric practice, but also with women that I work with, just like being able to be comfortable sort of sitting in that pain with somebody.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's huge. Just that your understanding of that grief. I mean, I bet you are just like the best pediatrician. I wish you were my pediatrician when my kids were little because you know so much like about like you said, about miscarriages and grief, and clearly about, kids' health and just health in general. I mean, that's just, you don't find doctors like that,
Mm,
so much. Can I ask how old you are?
53.
53. That's awesome. Um, and have you gone through menopause yet? Are you going through it?
I'm going through it.
Hmm.
It's a fascinating ride.
I'm going through it. I just started. Like, I just started. So far so good with me. What are you experiencing symptoms, or
All
what are
sorts
you
of
having?
symptoms. It was pretty funny because when I first, I'm a medical doctor, and though obviously this isn't my specialty, women's health is not my specialty, children's health is. However, I said I'm the baby of five, so I said to my big sister, I was like, "Okay, what's up? Is this like a year or two?" She's like, "Sue, this is like adolescence, right? This is years, right? This is a
Oh gosh.
phase." And so I think that was my first thing. And then the next thing was super funny because all these symptoms started popping up. Like all of a sudden I had eczema. I've never had eczema in my entire life. And one of my besties from med school is an OB-GYN, right? And so I like texting her, I'm like, eczema too? She's like, check,
Oh
like
wow.
allergies. I started having like these type of allergy symptoms. She's like, yep, because estrogen is on every cell in the body. And so it can affect every system in the body. And that's where, when I started interviewing, I've done some summits for women's in my coaching practice and interviewed some holistic gynecologists. And one of them, like she just really brought it home. And she's like, estrogen is on every cell of the body. Like it is a master important. Like I think of like queen estrogen, like
Wow.
you get to have her, right? So I knew pretty early on that I needed help because I started having also lots of illnesses, and I don't usually, like, I'm usually someone who gets like a big illness maybe once a year. I'm kind of knocked over and then I get back up. And I started having a series of them, like back to back to back. And that's when I knew to go in to my physician and be like, okay, I surrender. Like, give me the hormones, right? Let's start. And so we just started hormone replacement therapy, like really slow and growing. And even that's a wild roller coaster because I started learning in the process, like, your hormones are going up and down during this phase so much, and you're trying to target hormones, right? So it's like trying to hit a moving target. It's really difficult, you know?
And yeah, and so what kind of are you doing, vaginal
I'm doing
estrogen or
topical cream that has estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone in it.
okay.
So it's like a formulated one
So
based
it's
on
like a
testing,
compounded
a
a
compounded.
compounded medication.
Hmm.
That's my old background. I used to be the director of advertising for a compounding journal. So I only, I just like I read tons about it, but
Hmm.
even everything after everything I read, I still don't know where I'm going to land on it. But like I said, so far so good. I haven't
Yeah.
really felt all the roller coasters, but I'm just getting started, so we'll see how it goes. But I'm hoping that just because I've been eating a whole food plant-based diet for like 10 years, that hopefully that will,
Hmm.
allegedly, that's going to help. So we'll see. I'm in the process, but I have
Yeah.
my
And I think
period
that's,
right now after not having it for 3 months. So I'm like, oh God, is this ever going to
I think that's the
just,
thing, is just stay open and curious to what's
uh-huh.
possible, right? And then trying on things to see if it's a good fit for you or not.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. So, what are some of the things that you coach women through? What are the big things that women come to you for?
Hmm. Well, usually I think of, first of all, I think before I kind of get into the nitty gritty, I recently thought about how midlife is really similar to adolescence. It's a
Yes.
transitional phase, right? And then I thought, wouldn't that be nice if I had a coach when I was an adolescent? Like I
Oh
felt
God.
so uncomfy in my body. I felt just like ugly to not be able to say it a different way. Like I just felt all those emotions, and it's such a time where you're trying to figure out who are you, and in terms of your own identity in the world and also relationships, right? And I thought,
Yes.
you know what, midlife's kind of similar in that
Oh.
you start to feel really uncomfy in your body. Like you were so solid, like this is who I am, this is how I feel, you know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden
Hmm.
things start changing. And I feel it's like this transition of where so many things can happen. So women come to me for, relationship transitions, like either, I mean, women who have had infidelity in the marriage, and having a hard time forgiving, right? The marriage is still together,
Yeah.
but having a hard time forgiving. Or infidelity in the marriage, there's a divorce, and I've been stuck for 10 years. Like I haven't started dating yet, right? Um, and so lots of relationship things, also relationships in terms of like kids, like the most challenging kids are our greatest spiritual teachers. So
Yes.
life is a
Uh-huh.
mirror. So basically, if you're having a challenging relationship, it's really a mirror back to yourself of something that you're not at peace and resolution at.
Yep.
And so you get to kind of dig in and get curious about that. So we do a lot of that, a lot of relationship things, including work related relationships, and kind of getting a big aha. Like I remember one mom I was working with, and she felt really like people were out of integrity at work. Like they were kind of doing other things rather than working. And she was like, that's totally out of the line of integrity. And so then the first question is, where are you out of alignment with integrity? Like, so you always get to point the finger back at yourself.
Yes.
you know?
It's so true. I mean, yes. Okay, keep going.
Yeah.
So, what did she say?
But then it got so interesting. Like it got deep really quick and fun. But I said, she gave me some answers. And then I said, who was out of integrity when you were growing up? And like she immediately was like, my dad was completely out of the line of integrity, and she's still harboring, like, because I can't remember the specific situation, if he was cheating or lying to her mom. I think so, yeah. And yeah, she was still like unresolved with all of that, right? So coming to peace and resolution. And when I said that, like, you would have seen like her eyeballs, she's like, oh my God, I need to go take a walk. Like, I've never thought about this before. So it's
Yeah.
like the whole thing is around emotions, like you're getting triggered with emotions, right? But all emotions are messengers. And so it's like, okay, what's the message of that? And also always looking back at yourself, because you're creating the emotion, right? By what you're focusing on, and also the meaning you're creating from
Yeah.
it, right? And so just that ownership of it.
So that's so interesting because I mean, just her focus in life was just like people are out of integrity. I mean, it's just crazy that you were able to pinpoint that so quickly with just those questions that you asked her. I find that fascinating. So is that kind of something we should look at if we have like a real strong focus about something in our life? What should we be asking ourselves?
Mm-hmm. Um, okay, well, one of my favorite questions to ask, also, well, I think there's two. When you're in a really like shit pile, like it feels
Yeah.
very muddy and ugly.
Shit pile.
A great question to ask is, what's great about this?
What's great about this shit pile?
Yeah, what's great
Yeah.
about this?
Uh-huh.
And you may not be able to do it right away, but through the process, right, of it refocuses, it shifts your focus to, instead of like what's awful, because what's wrong is always there, but what's right is there too.
I'm writing this down. What's great about this shit pile? I'm not even joking because it's such a good question. And you're right. So, like, what's bad and what's good? And also, it's your perception of it, right? I mean, I think that's what you're getting
Yes,
at.
it's a perception. And this is something I've learned from Tony Robbins, is someone I've
Yes.
learned a ton from. And that's one of the very first, if you want to get unstuck, it's like one of the very first things you ask, like, what's great about this? What's great about this is, and then you just go on a riff, because it immediately shifts your question, because often what we get stuck in is this loop of like, we ask a shitty question which gives us shitty feelings, and then shitty results, basically, to say it no other way. You just
Right.
get stuck in this real circle. Versus, like I can think about like when my daughter called me after like quote unquote failing a test, right? And, she's like, what if I don't pass tomorrow? I was like, what if you do? What if
Mhm.
you pass tomorrow? What if? Let's start focusing on that, you know? So it's just like shifting it, because that's not a great question to ask at this moment in time when you get to empower yourself to study and then pass tomorrow. It's not an empowering question to say, what if you're just focusing on the wrong target. You keep focusing on what's wrong, what's not going right. What if it goes right? Then what? Right? To get your shift your state so you start piling on the good things. Well, actually, I'm smart. I've been in this position before. I've passed, when I thought I was going to fail. Like, you start stacking all the good things and then you get a better result usually. And she did. She passed the next day.
She did pass. You know, I want to keep going about this thing about being stuck because I feel like a lot of people say they want to be unstuck, but they're really attached to it. Don't you feel like? And how do you get through to somebody who
Hmm.
keeps saying like, I really want to get move past this, whatever, if it's a divorce or a, you know, infidelity or what are some other things people get stuck on, like just you know
Hmm.
fights with friends or fighting with everybody, fighting with their boss, like so what are
I think
some, how do you
I think the
start?
thing that really sort of loosens it, right? Because you're right, we do get stuck on our stories. Like, we get
Our
stuck in a
stories,
disempowering
right?
story. And that's all it is. It's just a story, you know? So to first, like, I love humor. You love humor. Humor is
Yeah,
healing.
it
And
is.
humor really like loosens the grip. I feel like it kind of loosens us a little bit, right? And we start laughing at like how ridiculous this behavior is. Like, you have that behavior, and guess what? I have that behavior. I often share a personal story about how I've been in a similar situation, or like something that would really resonate and call me forward as like, this is just a pattern. It's not you, it's not who you are. This is just a pattern that you're stuck in, right? And so seeing the pattern is the biggest thing, like to reveal to that mother, or to that woman at the work, that someone's out of integrity, to take it all the way back and be like, how am I out of integrity with myself, and who mirrored that I'm still pissed at. that
Right.
that is an awareness. Like, now she sees the pattern, right? And then the second part is, you want to use the pattern instead of the pattern using you. So often when I have a woman really stuck, I can think of another woman I was coaching. She was just really stuck in a loveless marriage, right?
Mm.
And, you know, groups really help. I love group coaching because, it allows other women to lovingly call her forward, right? So it's not just me.
I like you saying call her forward instead of call her out. I like
Yeah.
that.
Call her forward, and how she's playing victim. Like, she's saying this,
Yes.
like, this is happening to me. And instead, like, I thinking about her, and she does have great humor, but thinking about her, I really said compassionately, I really care. Like, I don't want you to be here anymore. I want you to feel free. And we were really connected, and she could really feel like, I really want you to feel free. And she said, I really do too. So I think really connecting with the person that way, letting them know that you've been here too, calling them forward, and really the calling them forward in a way that, like, this isn't all your fault. This is just a pattern, right? And I want you to be free. So if you want to be free too, like, let's go and let's have fun with it. Let's laugh at how
Mhm.
fascinating we can be, right?
Yeah. I I feel that. That's kind of a beautiful way. Is it this is being stuck the same as not being able to let things go? Be-
Mm,
because I feel like I know several people. I feel like it's a little bit different. It's nuanced maybe, but I
mm-hmm,
feel like there's some people that just can't let things go. And particularly I have somebody in mind who has a bad relationship with her mother. Her mother was
mm-hmm,
not nice to her when she was younger, but her mother did some work on herself and has really evolved. But yet, this person still clings on to
mm,
the bad childhood, the bad things that her mother did to her. And how do you let that go?
One thing I would get curious about with her, like if she was here with us, I mean, first you have to have a great rapport. Like you got to establish rapport before you start just
Sure.
digging in. But I would say I'm just curious, because everything that we're holding on to, we hold on to for a reason. Like, what is it that you're gaining from this? And this is another lens that Tony Robbins taught me. We all share 6 human needs. The first need is the need for certainty, that we're in control, that we can feel
Mhm.
safe, that we'll feel more pleasure than pain. But if we're too certain, we'll get bored. So we also have the need for variety, like the spice of life, for things to be different. We have a need for significance, to be seen and heard, valued. We have a need for love and connection, like unconditional acceptance and also belonging, right? Then we have a need for growth and contribution, like giving. And so I would ask her, because again, this is neutral. I'd say, I'm super curious, like, which need do you think you're fulfilling by continuing to keep your mom as, like, whatever the word she would use, bad?
Mm.
Which need do you think you're fulfilling? Because I share that same need. I may just fill it in a different way. So I'm just curious, like, which need do you think you're filling? If you had to answer, like, what's your best guess? I have one.
I really don't know. Like, what do you think? What's your best guess?
I think it would be certainty. Because a lot of times we stay stuck in, like, do you ever have a friend who's like not in a great marriage and they still stay in it? And you're like, why are you still there?
Um, no.
I
I can
I
honestly say I don't have that.
I think that people stay in
Oh, yeah, maybe
non
I do.
ben
I do.
yeah, non-beneficial
Certainty.
situations for certainty. It
Yes.
sucks, but I know that it's going to suck. Going out, that's way too uncertain for me.
Okay. You're
Does that
right.
make
You're right.
sense?
Yes.
So it might be some certainty and control, right? She might actually get connection from it. It's not love, it's connection. So she actually feels connected when she's talking about it over and over again. Maybe connection with herself, connection with her mother. It's a disempowering way, but it is connection. And with others, she might get significance. That's a big thing about people holding on to dis-ease. Like, I have this dis-ease, right? And they get attached to these identities, right? So it may give her some significance. So that would be like my best guess. So that would kind of be my angle, because I would just say it's just a need. We all share that need. What would be another way that you could fill your need in whatever bucket she said? Does that make
Mm,
sense?
yeah. That's interesting. So, it's interesting because when you talk about letting go, it's the kind of thing where you're like, just maybe, try this or try that or try meditating or try being a different way. And I guess that's really not helpful because what you're
Mm,
getting at is you have to identify why you're holding on to that or why you
hmm.
won't let go of that. What
What are
need
you
it's
getting from it?
what are you
What are you
getting from it?
gaining? Because you are gaining
Mhm.
something. Otherwise, if
Right.
you weren't gaining something, you would not be holding on to it.
You're absolutely right. I mean, that's very
Yeah.
smart to think about it that way. What um what do you think about how do you feel like women can rebuild their confidence if they feel like
Mm,
they've lost their confidence? Maybe they look different than they used to. Maybe they feel different than they used to. Maybe they don't feel as, you know, useful like with their kids grown or how do you
mhm.
feel like building confidence at this point in life is how can we rebuild?
Yeah. I mean, it's something that one of the statements that I say to myself every day as part of accountability for a leadership check in that I do. I say, I am an authentic, confident, courageous woman. So I think one of the things is honestly saying it, repeating it to yourself and to somebody else. I mean, I said that to somebody else. She's like, wow, you've been saying that. I've been saying that for 2 to 3 years now. It's got to have some effect. I know it's not all the effect, but that's got to have gained something because subconsciously I just keep telling myself I am an authentic, confident, courageous woman. I am, right? I didn't feel when I started saying that, I did not feel confident at all.
Really?
And I think confidence, which surprised a lot of people, like people think like I have certain cred, so I should naturally be confident. But I think confidence, like I've learned a lot about the difference between through that book Worthy,
I haven't read that.
Jamie Kern, is that her name? Um, that's a great book. It deciphers between worthiness and confidence. And I realized I was getting them all mushed together. Like I am born worthy. I'm worthy because I'm born. And really owning that worthiness versus confidence is external. Like worthiness is internal. Like you don't have to do anything to be worthy. Like I am worthy. I am of value because I'm here in this world, right? Um, Confidence is more external. Like you have some skill sets, and with repetition, you get good at it, and so it builds your confidence around it and competency, and it becomes a thing. So to me, I like to say, like, if you're building your confidence in something, like I'm thinking another woman that I coach, she has a skill set and but she's not confident in using it yet. So the way that I help her build her confidence is I'm like, start small. Like start with safe people, right? So I said, how about her? Like another woman in our coaching circle. I was like, how about her? She's like, okay, can I have your number? Like, you know, so then it's safe. So you want it, we have this need for safety, right? So it's like just expand it a little bit. So like, yeah, you're not comfortable, but like, can you expand your bubble a little bit, you know, and put her in there and test out your skill sets? Because she's really good and she's gotten feedback. And then you kind of expand it, you know, more and more. So I would say that's like with a skill set, like that's definitely how you would increase confidence. With the whole body thing, I gotta admit, like I am still, I am still in the throes
It's a
of
tough
that.
one.
It's a really tough one. Um, and I think my personal experiences with it is that there's just so much external coming at us about what it means to be a beautiful, radiant, you know, as you say, badass woman or mother, right? It's like, um, and so what I've chosen to do is pick someone, and I've chosen Goldie Hawn. You know Goldie Hawn?
Yes, my God, I love her. Yes.
And I just think she is a radiant woman. She shows me like she's soft, like she's not some like ripped woman. I mean, she's totally soft and full and happy and radiant. And I keep picturing her, you know, I obviously don't know anything about her personally, right? I think she's had some like happiness, yoga, meditation, like,
Yeah.
but I don't really know a lot, but I can just sense from her, like, she's happy. And
Yes.
to me, my assumption of that or my hallucination is like she's happy because she's accepting of it. And so for me, especially with the physical confidence, to me it comes through a lot of acceptance of what is and expanding my definition of like what is beautiful, what is radiant, you know. um yeah, the muscle tone is not quite the same as it used to be. And also, does it matter? Is it important? Can you be happy even if you're not able to gain that back, right? Is it a loss or is it a gain? Like one of the things I lost is makeup. Like the makeup I used to wear eye makeup and I started reacting to it again. Like this is a new symptom of, and I was like, are you kidding me? All I want is a little eye makeup, you know? And I feel like midlife just keeps pulling off the mask. It keeps it's like, are you still worthy even without that makeup? Of course I am. Like, can you still be confident without it? You know, now I'm like, okay, I've got this mascara, which is all my girls wear. By the way, we were saying yesterday, I was like, I aspire to be you because you look radiant and beautiful with just mascara on, you know? And I'm like, that's what I'm going for now in midlife. And
And you are, my gosh, you are
oh,
radiant and
thank you.
beautiful,
Oh,
really.
thank you. Yeah, so I feel like So in terms of feeling more confident, starting small, gaining, and also
Oh, yes.
redefining,
That's
right?
good. Mhm.
Um, so redefining and definitely accepting, just more acceptance.
Yeah, I mean, you can't compare yourself to 25-year-olds. I
Mm-mm.
love that you're looking to older women because I ask that question too sometimes, like, who do you admire for the way they're aging? And Goldie
Goldie
Hawn is
Hawn.
a gold standard. She really is. You're
Is she?
absolutely right.
Do other people call out Goldie Hawn?
I don't think anybody ever has. The
Wow.
most people say not I mean, a lot of people have said Jane Fonda and Jane Goodall, which is really
That's so cute. I love
interesting.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I love that. I once we ended up in this fancy hotel by accident. It was a really long story, but I had babies, so I know exactly. It was 31 years ago. So
Wow.
her kids were little, like, and my husband, I had like a 6 week old baby and like a 18-month-old. I was up in the room. I was probably nursing somebody, and he's like, he was in the gym, and he's like, "Go downstairs right now. Goldie Hawn's on the treadmill." And I was like, "No, no way, no, stop!" And I ran down. I waddled down to the uh like I was going to be working. I wasn't even cleared to work out yet. I was just like walking on the treadmill. I got next to her and I'm walking on the thing, and all, her kids, Oliver and what's her name?
Kate?
Kate.
Kate.
Yeah, Kate Hudson. They were kids, or teenagers or whatever, and they were like running around in there, and like she was just reduced to a mom. They were like, "Mom, I need a snack," and she's like, "Okay, go get money out of my purse." Like, it was, I was like, all right, you know what, she's just like a mom on a treadmill. I didn't say one
Yeah.
word to her either because I was like, I'm not bothering this lady while
That's
she's on.
so fun. What a
But I
fun
mean,
story, Lauren.
yes, I mean, she was just like a mom. She's like, all right, go get money out of my purse. Mom. Kids will really reduce you down to the lowest common
Absolutely.
denominator, right?
And what a gift. What a gift that is for
it
sure.
it is a gift. Um, as a matter of fact, speaking of moms, I took your quiz on your
Oh yeah, what'd you
website.
get?
I got what do you think I got? Can you
Hmm.
guess?
So I don't know. I mean, obviously you're very inspirational. I also feel a lot of giver from you. Did you,
I
what
got
did you get?
inspirational.
You did?
I probably could have gone either way, but I got inspirational mama. So her quiz is on what's your website?
DrSueMcCreadie.com. So
Okay.
DRSUEM. You'll put the link. Yeah.
Yeah,
Card
I'll put
spelling.
it in and it's a fun quiz to I love quizzes. Everybody
I
does.
do
But
too.
it says inspiration mama, show up with genuine love for everyone you encounter, from your longtime partner to the new barista at the coffee shop. Well, that's true.
I'm an inspirational mama, and my kids
You
are
are
always like, "You are making friends everywhere." I'm like, "I
everywhere.
am. I make friends everywhere. It's so fun. It's just
Right.
fun to me." Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? I mean, I love that. You also, I saw that you do like tarot and numerology.
Hmm.
I love that. I love any
You do.
stuff
I
like
love
that.
it
Oh
too.
yeah.
I think
Um,
it's so fun.
how did you learn to
That
do
was such a
tarot?
wild introduction, Lauren. Okay, this is what happened with tarot. The thing for me is I just stay open. I try to stay open and non judgmental because I feel like, God sends me on wild rides sometimes. So I
For
was in
sure.
Asheville.
Asheville,
I
North
was in,
Carolina.
yes, I
That's
was in
I love
Asheville,
that place.
and I was on a getaway with my husband for the weekend, and we were just wandering through stores. Have you ever walked into a store that just lights you up? I literally got
Oh
my
yeah.
camera out and I was like videoing it for one of my friends because I was like, "You're gonna go nuts in this store," like I'm videoing the whole thing. And I am drawn to this back corner, and I'm drawn to this deck, and it says tarot on it, and I'm like, "Well, I've heard of tarot, but I don't really know what that is." But I was just like, "I've got to have this deck," so I got it. Now I'm at home with this deck of cards, and I'm like, I don't even know what this is, but they're really pretty pictures. And so I just kind of followed the breadcrumbs, and I ended up taking a both a tarot certification and a numerology certification, which is like the study of numbers, because there's a lot of overlap between the two of them. And now the way that I think of tarot, like if you're listening, you're like, what is tarot? It started out as like a deck of playing cards back in the day, And then now how I use them is really to tap into the subconscious, like an ink blot, like a psychologist uses an ink blot and says, you see the ink blot, what do you see? Right?
Right.
Everybody sees something different. And the reason for that is that, you know, from personal development, the thing is that you want to, most of your thoughts and feelings, habits, and therefore results are driven by your subconscious. You're not even consciously aware of these patterns. And so if you're just, like I said, you know, I am an authentic, confident, courageous woman, like that's like speaking to my conscious mind, right? Like you could say that to your blue in the face, but if underneath you're like, you're a shit pile, you suck, and you're fat, like, I don't know, whatever you would say to yourself,
Right.
right? Like, then you are not going to feel like an authentic, confident, courageous woman, whatever the
Fair.
language is that you use for yourself, right? So you really need to get into the subconscious thoughts and feelings, you know, to shift the pattern and get different results. So that's how I use the tarot. I use the tarot as like, look at this and what do you see? You can use the tarot in a lot of ways in terms of numerology. Your birth date, I'll just take my birth date. I was born on March 8th, 1972. You can add up each of the numbers, like old arithmetic, you get 30, and 3 plus 0 is 3. So in numerology, I'm a 3, which is a very expansive number. I think 1 plus 1 is 2, but then you go 3, we just made a family. Like
Yeah.
basically, 3 is a very expansive number. And 3 in the tarot is the Empress. So the tarot uses archetypes, and
Right.
archetypes are just patterns of behavior, again, that we all hold in us. But some of us tend towards certain ways, just like with my personality quiz. It's like you know, you have inspirational and giver. You also have visionary and detail, but probably not to the same extent, right? And so, in the same sense, like we all have these archetypes. And so a way to work with them is just, you know, asking, like, look at the Empress, you know, what does the Empress have to say for this? Or the first time I saw the Empress card, I was like, wow, this is me. Like, I just was like, it just gives a visual representation of, wow, she's a beauty. She's a queen mama, right? Like, she's abundant. She's very earthy. And you just, for me, it's just a way to help moms ground, but to give you a kind of a tangible thing. Like, I was in a group coaching and a mom popped in, and in 10 minutes with the tarot, she came in with, you know, her mother just being diagnosed with a terminal illness and all disrupt because the mother's in another country and she's here with her family. And like the whole, that's where we are in midlife, right? We've got family raising
Yes.
and also parents aging. And so she was just spinning. And within 10 minutes of like asking some concrete questions, but also showing her some tarot, right? It was like, it was also pouring down rain. And by the end, it was like silence. The rain had gone away outside. And she was just like, I feel peaceful. I feel clear, centered. I know what we're doing moving forward. Right. And I was like, okay, like something like that is just, it's quick because it's a visionary thing. It's separated from me. It's not like me telling her, it's like her discovering it, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. And I think that is all the difference.
Yeah. So I guess between your quiz, you like archetypes and patterns. I can
Mm-hmm.
see that.
Yeah.
It helps you define and maybe break free. Um, and I so are you are you saying, so I guess when you do tarot, you lay the deck out and you just pick a card or several cards, and is that your subconscious? Is that what you're
So sometimes
how do
when I
you
do
do
it,
it?
how I usually do it with the tarot through the group coaching program is that I'm anchoring us around the numbers, right? So we're in the year 2025 right now. 2 plus 2 plus 5 is 9. 9 in the tarot is the Hermit. So we'll look at the Hermit card, right? And we'll just start talking about like, what do you see, right? The Hermit is wise. The Hermit is elevated on the mountaintop. You know, the Hermit is the light, you know, shining light outwards. So anchoring that, and then the month, every month changes, right? So right now we're in a 7 energy month. And so the 7 is the Chariot, right? So now you're putting the Hermit with the Chariot. And so you can start making connections. And for me, that's just an anchoring process to be like, this is the energy that we're in, which is why I was so intrigued about tarot and numerology. I was like, this is a pattern, because you're right. I love patterns. Like if you can see a pattern, you can decide whether you'll want to use the pattern or like not use the pattern, right? But if you can't
Right.
even see it, you can't even enter into that flow. So to me, I was like, oh my gosh, are there patterns happening? Like there's numbers, like what's going on here? Because I used to be one of those people who'd see like 111, 222, 555, right? So I started
Yes.
getting interested in those numbers, but I'd always have to like go to a book and be like, 555 means this, right? And so to me, I was like, well, maybe there's more for me to understand about these patterns. And if so, like, how can I help me? Right. And also, how can I help the women that I work with?
Oh man, I love that. That's
Yeah.
so it is. It's so grounding and centering. I like that. What
Mm-hmm.
other what haven't we talked about that you think we should talk about? Is there
Mm.
anything else?
There's one more thing that I would like to share. It has to do with
Please.
another question that I asked myself that's been super grounding. So often, like, it's so much so, like, my kids now are like, Mom, I know what you're going to say. Or even my clients are like, I know what you're going to say. And the question is that you can ask yourself is, what would love do? What
Oh.
would love do? Because my sense is that naturally we are loving beings. And that is our natural state. That is our natural way. And that's why it feels so yucky and so terrible when we're not in a loving state, which we all go through different states, right? Whether we're fearful or drained or depleted or depressed or angry or like whatever. So ask in these situations that can be difficult or challenging, right? What would love do? And see what answers bubbles to the surface. Because love would sometimes like, I'm gonna go sit in the grass and look up at the sky because I just need to like blank out for a moment. That sometimes that's what love would do. Sometimes love would like throw down fierce boundaries, be like, this is not okay with me. I need to have a conversation with this person. Like that's what love would do, right? Sometimes love would just keep their mouth shut. So I always love to start with that question because I think people naturally know the answer. And if they're really in and open to self-development, right, they'll give you what it is. And it's usually a brilliant answer. Any way better than anything I could come up with.
Oh my gosh. That's such a good I love that. What would love do?
What would love
So
do?
if you're feeling like you're in a situation and maybe like we talked about you're stuck or you're having a hard time letting things go, I mean, would you first ask that question before you said to yourself, what am I gaining from this? Would you say what order
Mm-hmm.
would you do that in?
That's a great question. I've never thought about it. Sometimes I think it can be quite hard to figure out what's great about this if you're in like a sucky state. So probably asking like what would love do, since your state is naturally loving. And by the way, you can also facilitate this by helping your body get into a loving state. So for you, that may be like going for a walk, sitting in nature, meditating, um, yeah, listening to some fun music, dancing, something that really puts your physiology in a loving state before asking the question, what would love do?
That's right. So what's your best piece of advice for aging well?
I would definitely say laugh more.
Yes, that's a good one.
I would definitely say laugh more. Like just laugh. Like, can you find the situation funny? So this is a funny story. We were getting ready for date night. And so I was like trying to put on some clothes that were just not fitting Lauren, right? I'm just like not feeling pretty, right? And then I went to go put the boots on and like I could not zip the boots up.
The
Like my
boots.
like my calves have expanded in
Oh
this
my
moment in
gosh.
time, right? So I just decided, I was like, normally I would start crying. I think that would be my go-to. I would just like start crying because I just feel like so sad. I don't know. I start crying. I just like half zipped them up and then I was like, here I am, baby. Like, like to my, I like so ridiculous with these half of boots. And then I like laid on the bed and then he helped me like yank them off. And then I was like, I'm done. I'm putting on comfy jeans and flats and we're going out. And we had a great time and there was like live music and it was fun. But I was like, yeah, we just got to laugh more, you
Yeah,
know?
I think that's pretty good advice. What's the best piece of advice anybody's ever given you?
Mm. Well, I definitely love like what would love do because I
Yeah, I
learned
think
that from
that's probably the
another,
best.
yeah, that is definitely and I don't know that this is advice, more so of just like showing me, but my parents, they at the time of this recording are 90 and 92 and they've been
Wow.
married for 69 years.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
It's incredible. Like their love story is quite incredible. And as you can imagine, it's gone through so many phases and it's in its last phase right
Oh
now.
wow.
And I think the biggest thing that I've really learned from them is what unconditional love is. Because it's I've seen it like wax and wane in so many different parts of their life and journey, right? And even to these final stages, it's pretty humbling and yeah, it's beautiful to witness of like what really unconditional acceptance is and how challenging that can be even in the very last stages of physical life. Yeah.
Wow. Are you with your original husband? Is this your
Yeah.
husband 1.0? Okay. And
I like
so
that.
yeah, and do you credit a lot of that to seeing your parents through all these stages?
I credit them to really helping me know what is love and how to be loved, like how to love and how to be loved, because that is
Mm,
really where, that's what psychology teaches us. That's where we learn. We learn how to love and how to be loved from our caretakers. And so unconditionally loved us, absolutely unconditionally loved us. Are they perfect? Heck to the no, they're not perfect. But unconditionally loving, yes. And so knowing that, like I've had my share, like I had a growth opportunity relationship in college. Let's just say that that was not I knew like this is not unconditional love. This is not what I want, right? It was painful to still let it go and everything because I wanted it to be something that it just clearly wasn't. But I credit that. Like I knew like a pattern, right? Like it's a pattern again. It's like this is not that. So, and when
yes.
I met my husband, I was like, this is that. This is that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a very good way to put it because they teach you, what love is, like you said. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I really learned that from my husband. Like I know now what it's like to be
Mm.
fully, wholly, completely loved in the right way. I
Mm-hmm.
really feel that he's been that. And so God
It's
forbid
beautiful.
anything ever happens to him. There I feel like good luck next guy. I don't know if there can be. I
Oh,
seriously, and I think that's so beautiful. Are your parents what kind of are they living in
they're
a
in a skilled nursing.
facility
Yep,
or
they're in a
yeah.
skilled nursing facility
Oh,
now.
both of
And
them?
again, like surrounded by angels. Like I look at those caretakers, they are
Yes.
angels. They are
Mhm.
angels. Um, yeah, just really taking care of them to the end, calling us with any little changes, right? Like
Yeah.
keeping us in the loop because none of us live close, so we're all a plane ride away. Um, so yeah,
Oh
now
gosh.
it's like that's so interesting, Lauren. Like this big, huge, expansive life. They're in one room now. We just recently moved them
So they're
close down,
together in the
so they're
same room.
together in yeah, kind of like a double room with a little divider. Like their whole world is physical
Oh,
world is right in this room now, and that was such a process, yeah, to
it's
witness and bear witness to, and how each of them went through that so differently, right? It's really,
that's really tough. Are they both cognitively there?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
I think that
Yeah.
might make it even harder in some ways on them,
Some ways, I think so. I do agree
Yeah.
with that. Yeah, it's a real process of acceptance. And that's what I was saying to my dad. We have, I was like, wow, we do not stop learning, or I say like sculpting our souls until we are physically not here anymore. Like he is
Yeah.
still, they're both are like still learning, still, personally developing, as we say, right?
Wow. Isn't that incredible?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's end on a fun question. What's your favorite concert you've ever been to?
Oh my goodness. So many. I don't know if I could pick one, but the most recent one is a show. I went to the MJ show on Broadway. I took my girls
What?
and a
Oh, Michael
friend,
Jackson?
Michael Jackson, the MJ show.
Oh, yeah.
And
Is
I
that
would
the same
say
one that was in Las Vegas? Because that used to be one
probably
of
because
the.
it's also in London. So I think
Okay.
it's and I would say I was sitting in that show going, I wish I could have seen Michael Jackson in concert. Could you imagine? Like, wow, I would just love to see Michael Jackson. But my favorite part of that is Thriller. Like it's still Thriller. Like, do you
Yes.
remember when
Of
Thriller
course.
came out? Like
Yes, of
it was
course.
like an event. And we walked out. Thriller was by far. I just sat there. I was like, they
I
left
know.
nothing. They put everything on the floor. They just put it all there. I was just blown away. And we walked out, and my daughter was like, "That's so cool. You lived when like Thriller like came out." I was like, "It was a national event.
It
Like we were like,
was.
it's going to like you're going to sit down, turn on the
Yes.
television, and watch Thriller." And yeah, I would definitely say, I guess you can't say that's a concert. I could say I really want to go to that concert, but that's the most recent, just mind blowing. The whole audience, the feeling of it all is just like, oh, I wish I could do that every day, every weekend at least.
That's so funny. It's funny because that had not come up before, but I think last week's guest,
Mm-hmm.
well, by the time your thing airs, it won't be last week's guest, but Gigi Carter, somebody I just interviewed, said that her best concert was when she went to see the Jackson Victory Tour. And I
She
mean,
did see that.
yes.
See?
And
Wow.
so she just said that. That's funny. Interesting. I love that. I
Yeah, I
love to
mean,
find out.
what a performer. Anyone listening to that, I highly recommend the show. I mean, it's just like you want to see like Michael Jackson routine after routine after routine, which to me, I was like, that's what I'm here for. Bring it.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Oh, good. Well, thank you so much, Dr.
Oh,
Sue.
thank you
You're
for
just a
having me
love.
on.
I love you gave
Thank
us
you.
so much good information.
Oh,
You're
good.
just yes, yes.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Bye. Thanks for listening, friend. From my heart to yours, be well until we meet again.